So, throughout history, America has declared war. Declaring war is a strategic, and oftentimes we are at war without declaring war. Sometimes, for different reasons, it has to be done piecemeal. So here it is, as I have said to you, and if you've watched my videos, if you're first time watching my videos, well, I have a playlist. At any rate, I've been following this, and basically, we have been preparing. I have stated while they said things in the media, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. Because they act like, we didn't have any part in it. And they make questions of our president on what the plan is, et cetera, et cetera. But, when we sent things, the warships, we sent 2,000 troops over there straight away, over there to the Middle East in defense, posturing for defense of Israel, if you will. And posturing for defense is not, it's not an act of war, but it is the first steps in getting involved in the war. Even though we were there with our troops and our war weapons, such as ships and fighter jets and so forth, and our troops were being attacked in the Middle East. And while we are posturing over there and getting set up for the defense position of Israel, we were being threatened by Iran, and they made good on their threats because we did have attacks on various bases in the Middle East, and it is a war. But they're not going to come out and say, "Oh, World War III has begun," because, well, obvious reasons why they would not do that. But here it is. It's can't be hidden. The U.S. carries out strikes against Iranian targets in Syria. They have been attacking us. And sadly, they had colleges in America giving extra credit to go out and march for pro-Palestinian. That's what one of the reports. And I believe that, of course, America is freedom of speech, but I'm sorry if you can't be pro-Palestinian and not be pro-Hamas. I understand people want to have sympathy or try to be neutral or have their own position in arguments for Palestine or Palestinians, but you can't separate the two. Because, like, when they attacked Israel and they went over there and they paraded the victims and the hostages through the streets of Palestinians, and it's not just that Israel isn't the only one, attacking and bombarding, but you have media sources and you have certain people in political offices in our government and in various places around the world that are posturing that only Israel is attacking. I think what we need to put in the number of victims are attempted murder victims. We don't need, see, the thing of it is Israel has a good defense system. And if all the rockets that have been shot since this war has begun, since they attacked first, if they had hit people, we're talking civilians. You keep talking about Israel hitting civilians and Israel hitting civilians. Hamas is over there hiding in between people, shooting rockets off next to houses and buildings. And they are the ones that, attacked one of the refugee camps. But they're trying to kill civilians in Israel. So let's just say if every missile and every rocket and every drone attack had hit its target and had caused the casualties that it intended, the amount of civilians who would have died in Israel would have been in the hundreds of thousands easily. So when you see number equations such as, well, there was a few thousand of Israel killings, but there was more thousands of Palestinians killed. But that's just because they weren't able to hit their targets. And I hope people, when they look at numbers, that these media sources need to include in the equation attempted murder victims of civilians in Israel is hundreds of thousands. Hundreds of thousands. All of the targets that Israel has intended to hit, they've hit. Okay? And yes, there have been, unfortunately, civilians that have been lost in this war, and mostly because they wouldn't evacuate because they were being pressured not to by Hamas and other people. But they were warned, here, we're going to target here, we're going to target here, you know. And you had Egypt blocking them from being able to evacuate. It's a logistic nightmare. In the meanwhile, you've got Hezbollah, you've got them attacking Israel along with the people from Gaza. So, yeah, the number equation of attempted murder victims of Israel. We're talking civilians. We're talking old people. We're talking children. We're talking babies. We're talking hospitals. We're talking schools. We're talking anybody that they could hit. We have hundreds of thousands in Israel that they have tried to kill. So just keep that in mind, because their targets, their rockets, and their missiles weren't successful. And that includes those shooting from the north. Then you have the ones that they did kill. They did take out some of our troops, very small in amount, that they were drone attacks that they tried to hit U.S. soldiers and the bases in the Middle East. So this is a global war at this point, because the U.S. has gone on the offense. Because as I said the other day, I said it's only a matter of time. I said they're attacking and droning attacking, people in the bases, and they haven't not yet attacked back. They've just used defense measures to thwart the missiles and the drone attacks, right? So here we have gone out and we have carried out the first strikes. We've gone on the offense to take out 2 facilities in eastern Syria by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and groups that it's backing. So we are now officially in the war by going on the offense. And we haven't yet declared war, though. This is more like they're treating it like a conflict. Okay, which really and truly, there's not a whole lot of difference between conflicts and battles and wars, because you're out there and you're fighting, but they do treat it differently. Like, for example, I'm a combat veteran and I got hazard pay, but in my war time, they have it from when the war started, which was not until 1991. But I was over there in December 1990. And, when you go there and you first stop at your first place that we're camped at, and you're doing, guard duty or whatever, and you're out there with your machine gun, and you're dealing with hostiles who trying to take you out. So you're out machine gunning, but it's not considered a war, right? And you don't get any like combat medals or anything like that for that period of time when you're in a conflict like that, unless it's like a declared war. So, but these guys, these soldiers out there right now that are over there in these bases that are being subject to these attacks, they're actually in a war. They're in a conflict. They're being under, attack. So, it's weird. They should get, combat war medals or whatever, or at least credit. But that's just not how they look at it. But at any rate, conflict, war, whatever you want to call it, we are in the battle. Okay, U.S. is in the battle, and it's only going to get bigger. There's not been this amount of people trying to attack Israel at one time. It's pretty prophetic, actually, if you read the story in the Bible about Israel. Anywho's, a lot of things about Israel's always come to pass. Yeah. So in case you didn't know, America and all those troops over there in the Middle East, pray for them, because they're in the hot seat right now. Any of them. Iran threatened America, and they said that we're going to suffer heavy losses, as one of the articles said that they commented, and didn't say like where they were gonna, where our losses were gonna be. But then you have at the border, was reports about people coming in from the border, from the terrorists. They were like on watch list type people, which wouldn't mean they were terrorist suspect, but just that they were on watch list. So then you started seeing how many people actually got across the border, they were in the flow of people crossing the border. And it was weird how they didn't even reveal how many people there were on the watch list that actually were captured, and how many they projected had got through and the gotaways. They didn't even reveal that until this happened. So now FBI is like daily telling people to be on the, be on the alert, be on, vigilant for awareness of home-based terrorism attacks, basically from within our country. Yeah. And so now this is only going to increase now that we're striking out. Okay. So, anywho's, I hope you have a good one.